And now, everyone, it is now time that we will conclude this episode off with the grand finale. And with this finale, we're going to be talking about one specific YouTuber, one that I have previously talked about in this podcast related to another controversy that has happened a few years ago. But this YouTuber in particular, oh boy, he went through a pretty nasty downfall. And we have seen some pretty bad downfalls in recent years when it comes to controversial YouTubers. We have seen the downfall of James Somerton after he got called out for some serious plagiarism throughout his videos. And then there's also another one with Gerard Khalil, aka the Completionist, in which he was caught for possible charity fraud. And at that point, you wouldn't think things wouldn't get worse from there. But oh no, things can get even worse than you could imagine. In fact, I would argue that it is going to be hard to top this controversy, to top this kind of downfall in particular. And who I'm talking about, of course, is in regards to Nick Rekieta. Yes, the Minnesota lawyer and the far-right YouTuber, in which recently he was arrested. Why though? Well, before I get into why specifically, allow me to go and tell you a little story about Nick Rekieta. In fact, there is this little thread here by Catherine Twosome on Blue Sky that actually did a very good report, like this really good thread, this good thread summarizing about the history of Nick Rekieta. So he actually his rise of fame actually started back in 2019 when the Vic Mignogna controversy occurred. Some of you probably remember the whole Vic Mignogna controversy, in which at one point he was one of the most prolific English dub anime voices, but has been called out with tons of sexual harassment cases, some that can be pretty serious, that can go like full-on near assault, and some that even included some minors also. But then came Nick Rekieta, who is an ultra, Trump-supporting conservative, and he's on the side of sexual predators. He's like one of those guys who is openly opposed to the hashtag Me Too movement and want to normalize the way that perverted and misogynistic men would go and treat women. So he was the one who convinced Vic that instead of apologizing and doing the right thing after being called out through this controversy, he encouraged Vic to go and sue some of the bigger names that are part of Vic Mignogna's victims, specifically Jamie Marchi and Monica Rial. So Vic Mignogna agreed, and he decided to go and sue them along with Funimation and Ron Toy for defamation, along with Nick Rekieta setting up a GoFundMe page that ended up becoming very successful and raised almost $300 million in order to go and make that case happen. And we all know what happened with those results, but we'll get to that later. And from there, Nick Rekieta slowly but surely became a superstar amongst the alt-right and culture war fanatics, where with his channel, Rekieta Law, he would go and make a name of himself by presenting a lot of legal analysis, but through the perspective of a white nationalist. And from there, not just with the Vic Mignogna case, but he would also get his fame and a lot of popularity when he would do that same kind of far-right analysis with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard controversy, with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, with the Kyle Rittenhouse case, where the more he would go and analyze this through this anti-woke lens, the more fame that he would receive both on Twitter and on YouTube. That was until not too long ago, and this is something that this thread actually brought up, where suddenly his fame would suddenly peak, and suddenly it then took a massive nosedive when YouTube took action and said, enough is enough. Now, I'm not 100% sure if they took down his channel entirely or maybe just took down his monetization, but like many far-right anti-woke influencers, Nick Rekieta would have a hard time trying to maintain his platform on YouTube, especially when that is his main source of income. And from there, he would, like, it would happen occasionally where he would go and have his channel temporarily be suspended or have his monetization be taken down, because it has happened quite often where, in fact, some people would even say more often than not, where he would have some serious drinking problems, where he would end up being on his live streams drunk more so than he would sober. And from there, he would do some things that are like big no-nos in terms of community guidelines, where he would openly make death threats and he would openly demand for people to get doxxed for his own selfish needs. Not to mention that he has a history of actually doing so outside of YouTube, especially when he is considered a prolific celebrity on the website Kiwi Farms that really is all about making death threats and making not just death threats, but also doxing people and promoting like full-on Nazism. So from there, there was at one point where Nick Rekieta, actually, I'll just read this little post here that Catherine actually wrote. Shortly thereafter, Nick got thrown off of YouTube for threatening to dox people who have filed bar complaints against him. He moved to Odyssey and Rumble, but took an 80% pay cut by his own admission. So from there, because of that, so basically, because he got kicked off of YouTube, like, his revenue is just flat out gone. He probably still had his fans and he had his platform in other places, but the money was not there. It was not like what it used to be when he was covering the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. And from there, saying that he is an alcoholic would actually be considered a compliment, because as time would move on, and especially with the Vic Mignogna case being worse and worse, like, it got so bad where not only did it get dismissed with prejudice, but even the appeals got completely rejected, where Vic Mignogna and the far-right people that were associated with him had to take a massive L from that, especially Nick Rekieta, where now that trial is permanently scarred to his reputation. Like, things has just gotten worse and worse. And whenever he would be on live stream, he would be seen like not just drunk, but high off of his like just high off of his ass, like high as a kite. Or like just on the fact that like he would take so many different substances, and it honestly shows. So much so to the point that even his fans has started to notice, and they saw that, yeah, things are really starting to be off with the guy. And even not too long ago, just a few days ago, actually, there was even this moment right over here. This is an example that Catherine actually put off. This is showing Nick Rekieta in one of his recent live streams. And you will see this dude, like, he's physically there, but mentally he is gone.
Makitini is praised. Why would you do this? Why now?
Okay, I'm stopping right over here. Like, I'm gonna stop it right there. And there's a very good reason for that. Because you saw in that clip right there, like, this dude, like, he was just dazed off. Like, he was gone. He is taking a lot of substance. But the reason why I am stopping right here, and I'm just saying right now, if you want to see more of it, you have to look it up yourself. Because at that point, Nick Rekieta decided, you know what? He doesn't care about anything anymore. He's gonna wank. That's right. On live stream, Nick Rekieta was legitimately caught masturbating. Just live in front of the internet. Just right in front, like, just for everyone to go and see. And now there is a clip, like, permanently taken on the internet, and it's there forever, where he's just wanking. If you don't believe me, for those of you who have seen it, you can actually like confirm that. But yeah, allegedly some say he was getting a BJ by his mistress. During the live stream, are you? Either way, this is still bad. This is still awful. Oh God! And from there, and then this leads us to what actually happened: the arrest that has been made. And this is honestly what is so far the lowest point for Nick Rekieta. In fact, instead of just telling you what it is, because I'll just go and say right now that it's not just Nick Rekieta who got arrested, but also his wife got arrested, and there was another person who was also involved, and I've heard a lot of things about this other person. Some say that she is Nick Rekieta's mistress. Others say that apparently she is the babysitter, but either way, there's another person who was involved who was also arrested. And the rest, I'm going to read you here from my source on Fox 10, or specifically Fox 10 Phoenix, as it states right here. There we go, like over here. It is stated, according to the charges, law enforcement attempted to execute a search warrant on May 23rd at Rekieta's home in Spicer and was greeted by a girl at the front door who would not let them inside. After Rekieta refused to provide the door code, law enforcement used a door ram to get inside and found Kayla Imholt and 4 juvenile inside. Law enforcement proceeded to search the master bedroom and bathroom, where they allegedly found a variety of drug paraphernalia, including 3 small baggies that tested positive for cocaine, 8 green tablets that tested positive for ketamine, and a digital scale, and several other items that tested positive for cocaine, charges claim. Authorities also found a Sig Saucer AR with several magazines and loose ammunition underneath the bed, and spent shell casting on the bedroom floor, and located additional firearms and ammunition in the garage, according to court records. Police took Rekieta and his wife Kayla into custody, and he told law enforcement that he and his wife stayed in the master bedroom, where law enforcement claimed to find most of the drug paraphernalia, but allegedly refused to answer questions about the cocaine, according to court records. And that's why he was arrested. So that's why, like, he got sent to jail and was legitimately arrested. It was legitimately for drug possession and firearm possession. Now, this would have been seriously bad for Nick, because technically, the dude would have been arrested and be sent to prison for 25 years. But unfortunately, he's not going to be spending any of that, because as the Trump supporter that he is, like all Trump supporters, he is a spineless coward and decided instead to go and spend the $50,000 bail in order to go and bail out. But still, though, the fact that this did happen, the fact that it was exposed that he had these drugs, that he had these firearms, like, this is permanent. This is going to destroy him and destroy his reputation. And oh my God, when I first read about that, when I first heard the dude was sent to jail, I legit had a big laugh about this. Like, honestly, I haven't had a case of schadenfreude like that in a long time. It honestly made me think back when I was calling out Nick Rekieta and like the whole Vic Mignogna controversy, that the GoFundMe page that he was running, it was a full-on scam. And that freaked him out a little bit. And that's why there was a period where a bunch of his fans, and I believe Nick himself, like, they responded with, like, debate me, bro. Why don't you debate me? If you think I'm running a scam, why don't you freaking debate me, bro? You know, like, doing that bull crap. And I even received a bunch of emails from those people saying, like, oh, I should debate Nick Rekieta. But as it turns out, good thing I had the intelligence to not do so, because otherwise I would be dealing with a legitimate crackhead. And I think, like, the fact that it was, the fact that he got caught, the fact that he has been possessing, like, cocaine and ketamine and stuff like that, I think that has already killed so much of his reputation right there. Why would you listen to legal analysis from some guy who is constantly hyped up on cocaine and ketamine down to the point that it has permanently left some damage on his brain? Like, seriously, at this point, you cannot use Nick Rekieta as a godforsaken source, because I don't care, like, if he has a license to be a lawyer and stuff like that. The dude is always, like, drugged up out of his mind, like, not just with the alcohol, but now even with the drugs as well. And I feel like, honestly, now we're starting to see a little bit of a theme going on. There's a bit of a pattern, not just with Nick Rekieta, but also with people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, with the fact that they have a history of stuff like cocaine and ketamine. It really goes to show that people with anti-woke views, they're no different than freaking crackheads and drug addicts, because more often than not, they usually are. And case in point, one of them being Nick Rekieta, right over there. But there is also one thing that I do want to go and discuss about, and there is something that honestly I would have had a constant laugh throughout. This would have been hilarious with what happened to Nick Rekieta finally getting that karma that he deserves. If it weren't for one thing that honestly makes it dangerous and serious, and that is the fact that there are children involved in this. It's the fact that, keep in mind, yes, Nick Rekieta is a father, and he has a whole bunch of children. And according to this report right over here, he has about like 4 of them. I heard some people even say that he has 5. There are unfortunately children that are caught in the middle of all this, where their parents are just just so high off of their minds on ketamine and cocaine, and in an environment where firearms are just left like wherever. So and it's at the point where honestly, like, if we got to focus on something, we got to think about the children right over here, because it is inevitably clear that staying with the Rekietas, it puts their lives in danger, and that should be a massive high priority. Like, this is honestly a case right now where, for real, Child Protective Services need to be called, and they need to be taken away from Nick Rekieta and his wife and that other woman that might be their mistress, because they are not in a well-protected area. And not to mention that is also part of the reason why he was arrested. It even says here, Rekieta was arrested Thursday along with his wife Kayla and a fellow online personality. Prosecutors filed charges against Rekieta and his wife on Friday for second-degree possession, child endangerment, and a gross misdemeanor firearm charge. And that's honestly the biggest thing that we need to go and like prioritize right now, is to make sure that first and foremost that these kids are okay. And if Nick Rekieta ever wants to go and try to regain his reputation, to regain his trust, then honestly, for Nick, the only thing that he can do to save himself right now is to be a good father. That he must first and foremost prioritize all that, and even make some sacrifices in order to raise those children. And when I say sacrifices, by the way, I don't just mean give up on the cocaine and ketamine and give up on the guns. That's not what I'm saying. Like, not just give up on that, but also he needs to give up his platform. He needs to delete his accounts on Twitter, on YouTube, on Rumble, on wherever. Get rid of all of his platforms altogether. And on top of that, give up the whole culture, his whole culture war fascination. Like, give up on being that culture war icon that he wants to be. Give up on ranting about woke culture and all that. And even give up on some of his old politics. That he needs to set his own ultra-conservatism aside so that he can prioritize on being a good father, that he could be there for his kids and actually raise them correctly, instead of this like culture war fanatic, this anti-woke guy filled with drugs and firearms and stuff like that. He needs to let that all go for the sake of his kids, if he actually cares about his children, if he actually cares about being a good father. And don't worry about his wealth. Don't worry about the money that he has. if he actually is a good lawyer as much as his fans claim that he could be, then he can make a living well by being a lawyer instead of being this anti-woke online personality. He could if he is a good father and if he is as good of a lawyer as he is, then he could easily give up his online presence altogether so that he can focus on being a lawyer and doing his job in court and raising his kids as well. Now, that would be the case. Will he actually go and do that? I honestly don't know. But honestly, overall, just looking at this, there is no other way to say it. But honestly, Nick Rekieta is officially finished. There is, honestly, it's hard to really imagine that he could ever regain his reputation from there. Because honestly, with everything that has been revealed, with the fact that he is a drug addict, that he had a bunch of cocaine and ketamine with him, that he's being especially irresponsible and even full-on neglectful as a father. Honestly, this case is legitimately so bad that even the other anti-woke personalities, they're backing away from Nick Rekieta. You know things are bad when even the quartering is looking at Nick Rekieta's situation and he's like, yeah, you're on your own, dude. Bye. It really is that bad. But again, the only way that he could truly save himself is to be a good father and sacrifice his platform and his own conservatism for the sake of raising his kids properly and to actually be a good father. Otherwise, he is through. He is full on finished. He is nothing more but a complete detriment to everyone around him. He is a detriment to his own family, which has now been proven to be as a fact right over here, and especially with his arrest and what he has been charged with. He is a detriment to his own community, where it's people like Nick Rekieta. Why is it that liberals and anything that is woke would keep on winning on whatever culture war they would keep on trying to do? And he is a detriment to his community and his country. This, honestly, it's people like Nick Rekieta that should honestly be considered a legitimate illegal. I know that, with Republicans, they love talking about illegals and deporting them, but it's people like Nick Rekieta, first and foremost, are the kind that honestly should be deported, because he is just, honestly, he is just doing damage to himself and to everyone around him. He is through. He is finished. This right over here, I just gotta say, this is the face of a man who is full on canceled. And even if he would desperately try to get back into his platform, to go and talk to, to go and back to his usual shtick of attacking his haters and throwing harassment, hate speech, death threats, and doxing to whoever he doesn't like, there's too much ammunition against him, especially with his arrest, with his cowardice nature of putting out a bail, with the clip of him masturbating when he's high off of his ass. He's through. He's just full on finished. I don't think there's any other way that he can go and save himself other than just quitting his platform, quitting his politics for the sake of his children. So otherwise, and if he doesn't, well then, make sure Child Protective Services come in quick in order to save them from a monster like Nick. So anyways, now with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and now I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the downfall of Nick Rekieta? I know there's a lot to go and soak in, but I'd like to know your thoughts on that. All right. This is something that's absolutely crazy. The fact that Nick Rekieta got arrested after so much of a fraud that he is, and after he tried to defend Vic Mignogna, is just so satisfying. However, I do hope those kids are okay and will be safe. Seriously, I never thought there would be a downfall this year worse than Chugga Conroy, but here we are. Exactly, man. It's like, how the fridge can you top what Nick Rekieta did in terms of your downfall? Holy crap. Let's see. Wait, he's the blackface lawyer? The same one? Oh yes, that is the same one. Oh Christ, this better be good this time. Yeah, I remember Nick Rekieta. He's one of the worst in the anti-woke world, aka hell. I would absolutely call Child Protective Services if I knew if I knew where he was in order to save the kids. The anti-woke community really did ruin America for everyone in it. This is why no one around the world takes America seriously, because of people like him. Yeah, I agree, Matt. He is done. Exactly. Let's see. Looks like karma has finally caught on to him, as he was arrested for drug abuse along with other things. Also gross for wanking off on a live stream while being high. I feel like he should be in prison for a long time, despite bailing out of jail, as he is a dangerous individual that he shouldn't be around anyone or his kids. He is a disgusting man who deserves to have his reputation be destroyed. Yeah, honestly, it's one of those things that whatever you would wish upon him, what he does to himself is so much worse. Let's see. I'm just going to let it slide and say I have no comment. No comment, man. Everything I'll say will start with the letter D. That entire description was just discriminating, disturbing, and disgusting. Of course, not the first time I've heard anything like this, but never this insane. You sure no one can come back from that? Now, I don't want to be off topic, but one positive thing to end off here is happy 80th birthday to Frank Oz. Yes, of course. And happy 50th to Miss Piggy, too. Let's see now. From a roller coaster of emotions about Disney to a karmic comedy of errors, I've never heard of this guy before, but you made me insanely dislike him. I'm glad other alt-right grift-tubers got well-deserved justice. Scumbags like him don't deserve to participate on our society. Let's hope more alt-right grifters like the Quartering, Yellow Flash, and Nerdrotic will also soon be behind bars. Yeah, I think that's honestly the big question. Like, if Nick Rekieta can go down like that, especially with that kind of behavior, that's the big question. Which alt-right YouTuber is going to be next to see that kind of downfall? Because if Nick Rekieta would do something like this, then you know some of the others would as well. You know that they got some pretty bad skeletons that the police will find out very soon. Let's see. I want Nick Rekieta to end up getting karma. Now, I disagree with certain things you're saying, but overall, Nick Rekieta, I hope he gets the help and maybe disappear from the internet. That's all I have to say. I hope Vic Mignogna has disconnected from Nick Rekieta. Yeah, hopefully Vic realizes that the biggest mistake that he has ever done in his life is listen to Nick Rekieta. Because Vic honestly would have had a chance to actually regain his reputation, that he would have been back being the prolific and beloved voice actor that he was. But because he decided to take the route that Nick Rekieta took, that's why Vic Mignogna is pretty much finished. That's why he is blacklisted from the entire industry. If you want anyone to blame on the downfall of Vic Mignogna, it's mainly Nick. Alright, I'll read one more comment before we cap this off here. Let's see now. Which one have not read, honestly? Okay, yeah. Damn, we've seen a lot of downfalls of YouTubers like Leo Convoy, SS Sniper Wolf, and Illuminati, but in Nick Rekieta's case, oh my god, what the hell is he thinking? I'm very glad and happy that the blackface lawyer and his wife got their just desserts and excuse me, and be behind bars. Also, let's not forget that he also has kids, and I really hope they deserve far more caring and support parents than the far-right supporters. And that is definitely no laughing matter here. Exactly. First and foremost, save the kids. And Nick, if you ever want to go and save your reputation, delete your platform. Run away from the internet, because honestly, you're canceled, dude.